everyone, so we are going to be presenting about Latin America. So here is my group members and here is the table of content for this presentation video. Next, here is the Latin America from world map view, and this is the close-up map.
Hi everyone, we will start with introduction. Latin America is a region of exciting contrast in its human and physical geography. Latin American countries range from high to low incomes, dependence on a single economic product to diverse and integrated economic base to isolation from the global economic system. The Andes, the Earth's largest tropical rainforest, the Amazon tropical rainforest, is situated across the mountain from one of the world's driest deserts, the Atacama Desert. The region's great range in latitude produces a variety of climate regimes, further changes in the elevation and proximity to mountain ranges. Tropical rainy climate is hot and humid, temperature around 28 degrees Celsius for entire year. Average temperature of the coldest month at least 80 degrees Celsius over ocean waters. Absolutely no frost in region. Rainy season is December until March, for example at Amazon Basin, Brazil. Now we will talk about subtropical rainy climate. In this type of climate, summers are hot and humid while winters are cold to mild. There are two subtypes, CWA and CFA. The average temperature during the coldest month range from 0 degrees Celsius to negative 3 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, the mean temperature in the warmest month is 22 degrees Celsius or higher. For example, cities in Brazil like Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo and the Pampas region in Argentina fall under the CFA subtype of this climate. Next is desert climate in the Atacama Desert, northern Chile. Desert climates are characterized by low rainfall, typically ranging from 4 to 7 inches. The Atacama Desert in northern Chile is a prime example of this arid environment. During winter, which is in July and August, daytime temperatures hover around 22 degrees Celsius, while nighttime temperatures drop to 4 degrees Celsius. In the summer months, which is January, February and March, temperatures range between 27 degrees Celsius during the day and a minimum of 60 degrees Celsius at night. The Atacama Deserts exemplifies the unique conditions associated with desert climates. Now moving on to soil erosion and agricultural impact. With a growing population, subsistence lands face increased pressure, resulting in elevated soil erosion. Planting primary subsistence crops like corn and rows on slopes make soil vulnerable to wash away during heavy rain. The absence of natural vegetation eliminates a crucial mechanism for retaining soil on steep slope. Intensive commercial agriculture is susceptible to soil erosion and degradations due to the removal of natural vegetation and specific planting patterns. This also gives an impact of resort development on island. The development of resort hotels and infrastructure on many islands has led to vegetation loss and accelerate soil erosions. This coupled with deforestation exacerbates soil erosion as there is more open space for heavy rainfall to wash away essential soil nutrients. Additionally, sedimentation from such activities poses a threat to reef system, potentially causing long-term harm to coral. Recent event for soil erosion. According to a United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification (UNCCD) report, an additional 69 billion metric tons of carbon emissions are expected from 2050 to 2050 due to land use changes and soil erosions. This substantial increase may lead to severe climate-induced disturbance, causing disruption in food supply, forced migrations, and escalation in species extinction. So, what are the government actions? Government officials and experts convened at the Global Soil Partnership meeting in Rome, emphasizing the crucial role of governments in preserving soil. Leaders, under their global plans of action, endorsed a series of measures to safeguard soil resources through robust regulation and strategic investment. The meeting brought together a diverse range of stakeholders to collectively address the pressing need for social conservation. Moving on to air pollution in Mexico City. Air pollution in Mexico City arises from mineral extraction, refining, and concentrated urban activities. Mexico City, nestled in a bowl-shaped depression known as the Central Valley, faces severe air pollution worsened by its dense population. Surrounded by mountains forming a natural barrier, the city experiences stagnant air, trapping pollutant. Vehicular exhaust, industrial emissions, and domestic pollutant accumulate in the valley floor, impacting millions of residents. During winter, temperature inversions worsen the problem, causing prolonged periods of trapped and polluted air. So, what is the recent event for air pollution in Latin America and the Caribbean, LAC? So, air pollution is a significant problem in LAC, causing climate change and serious health risks. A consistently ranks among the top 3 causes of death in the region. So the government, the Minister of Environment in LAC has taken action by adopting and enforcing emission standards for specific stationary, mobile and area sources. This move aims to address the critical issue of air pollution and protect the health of those living in the region. Now I'm going to talk about water pollution in Mexico. Currently, over 12 million people, especially in rural areas, lack access to drinkable water due to strong population growth, internal migrations, and discharge of domestic, industrial, agricultural, and mining residue. Despite having infrastructure, 90 million Mexicans need to filter or purchase water at high cost. Mexico, predominantly semi-arid, faces severe water scarcity due to the distribution of natural resources and rainfall, impacting a significant portion of the population. The recent event water crisis in Latin America and the Caribbean, approximately 150 million people in the settlement face water contamination issues due to the untreated influence from various sources. More than 400 million lack safe sanitation with climate change. Recent event about water crisis in Latin America and the Caribbean. Approximately 150 million people in the settlements are dealing with dirty water problems because waste from various places isn't being treated. More than 400 million don't have safe bathrooms, and climate change is making water supply issues worse. Glaciers in the Andes are melting, which is a problem from the water supply, and 25% of water sources are polluted. So the government, citizens and businesses in the region are working together to make communities better able to handle problems caused by the changing climate and the water issues. They are providing money, sharing ideas from around the world, and trying new things like using technology and nature-based solutions to fix the water crisis and make a better future. Let's discuss about pre-European people. The indigenous people present in Latin America when the Europeans arrived had migrated to the region a few thousand years earlier through Western North America. The indigenous people groups had a village-based subsistence economy that supported only modest numbers of people. Several urban-based civilization or empire emerged. Urban civilization in Latin America prospered through strict societal hierarchies and large-scale agricultural production. 50 million people are estimated to be living in Latin America before European entry. The first pre-European people is the Maya. The Maya civilization rose to regional prominence through agricultural surplus and a rigid social structure. The Maya civilization flourished and occurred in the classic period from AD 200s to the 900s. The classic Maya society were organized in city-state in which individually ruled and independently functioning urban centers. Located in the Yucatan Peninsula of southern Mexico, Guatemala, parts of Belize, and El Salvador, and parts of western Honduras. The Maya civilization of the Mesoamerican people is known by its ancient temples and cliffs. In the 1100s, Aztec as a group of tribes from central and northern Mexico settled in the area of modern Mexico City. By 1325, the Aztec dominated the region with hierarchical society centered on the massive urban capital of Tenochtitlan. The Aztec Empire was governed by one king from one capital. The capital of the Aztec Empire was built on marshland and lakeshore in the central valley of Mexico. By the 1400s, the Aztec were dominant empire in Middle America and gathered great tribute riches in their capital. The elite of the empire converted acquired lands and peoples to their system and used human and natural resources to further their goals. The Aztec force conquered people into slavery, which fueled widespread animosity towards the empire's leadership. In the 1550, when the Spanish conquistadors reached what is now Mexico, their goal was to topple the Aztec leaders and transform the Aztec cultural landscape to one suit for the glory of Spain. The Spanish conquistadors used their animosity to assist in overthrowing the Aztec Empire. Inca rulers established a well-connected system of roads running the length of their territory, which facilitated the empire's resource use, military control, and social order. The tightly ruled Inca Empire functioned from a hierarchical system of noble rule, believed to be the offspring of the sun god. All resources of the controlled territory were considered to be property of the Inca leaders. Quechua is the official language of the Inca Empire, remains widely spoken today among indigenous people of Bolivia, Ecuador, and Peru. Far from Aztec Empire, the warlike Inca formed a strong society based in the southern part of the modern Peru around the mountain of Cusco during the early centuries of the second millennium AD. In the 1400s to early 1500s, the Inca expanded its empire from southern Colombia to central Chile. The Arawa and Carib groups of the island and South American mainland areas of the Caribbean subsist by forest hunting and fishing. The Araucarians of modern central Chile and the Pampean tribes of modern Argentina had relatively strong economies. Most of the subsistence group were decimated by or largely absorbed into the colonial culture. In 1492, Christopher Columbus embarked from Spain on the first of two for transatlantic voyage. His ship landed on several Caribbean islands as well as a large stretch of the eastern coast of Central America and the coastal western waters of northeastern South America. Spanish military and missionary groups soon followed. Much of the region was conquered and occupied within 15 years of the initial voyage of Columbus, except from some of the smaller Caribbean islands, the far southern extremity of South America, and the territory that became Brazil. In 1494, Spain and Portugal signed the Treaty of Tordesillas. Treaty of Tordesillas June 7, 1494 was an agreement between Spain and Portugal established the demarcation line between their global spheres of interest. Eastern quarter of South America to Portugal, west part of the South America to Spain. The initial Spanish occupation around 1510 centered on the large Caribbean island of Cuba and Hispaniola. During the 1500s, Spanish and Portuguese adventurers established bases and conquered a huge areas that rapid. In 1519, Hernan Cortes led a group of conquistadors on an expedition to the heart of Aztec Empire, inspired by tales of gold or the vast riches. In 1521, Spanish overthrew the Aztec Empire by combining the multiple advantage of the conquerors who were considered gods by the Aztec, allowing the Spaniards to infiltrate the hierarchy relatively easily, having more advanced weaponry and the accumulated animosity of the numerous enemies of the Aztec. The Spanish captured Aztec lands and established the former Aztec capital in Tenochtitlan as the core of Spanish colonial American. In 1535, a Spanish viceroy began to govern the colony of New Spain. Spain claimed the remainder of Mexico and Central America, northern Colombia, northern Venezuela, and Caribbean islands such as Jamaica and Trinidad. Expeditions pushed northward into the southern parts of the modern United States from the 1530s but found no gold. In 1532, a small Spanish force invaded and captured Cusco, the capital of the Inca Empire. The Spanish expedition in the southern South America in 1530s did not lead to a material occupation or integration into Spain's colonial system. The Spaniards conquered most of the region in the 1500s and imposed a high degree of control on their colony of New Spain by establishing an oppressive system of agricultural production and tightly connected urban settlement and ports. After the conquest, the lack of immunity to European disease reduced indigenous populations. The surviving communities were converted by Roman Catholic Church and forced to give up their subsistence agriculture to provide crops and livestock for the food needs of the foreign city dwellers. Mining settlement in the Andes Mountain used various forms of slavery to coerce the local people. In conjunction with the responsibility for political control, establishment of settlements, and exploitation of natural resource wealth, Spain granted to nobles, soldiers, and church dignitaries a large land areas. Jurisdiction over the native people used them as laborers. The encomienda is a system in which a combination of feudalism and slavery applies throughout the Spanish colonies for more than 200 years. Spanish colonial agriculture developed haciendas, a large production estate, to cultivate crops and livestock product for local or domestic markets. Landholders often advanced credit to laborers and in debt to the hacienda. Coastal area around Caribbean were home to plantations that produced agricultural products for export to Europe and outside the region. Corrupt colonial administration of the region established a foundation for the pervasive and lasting tension between various socio-economic groups. The native people were disposed of land and rarely afforded educational opportunities. Socio-economic scale: peninsulars, Spaniards born in Spain who were living or working in the New World, to the highest office, largest land grants. Criollos, Spaniards born in the colonies. Lastly is Mestizos, mixture of European and Native American ancestry, had fewer privilege and became resentful as their links to Spain weakened.
So for the 4.3, Portuguese colonization in Brazil. Portuguese colonization efforts in Brazil moved slower than Spanish until French attempt to colonize previous claim by Portugal in 1513. In 1545, Portuguese governor was installed. Salvador City became a first capital and northern hub of Portuguese Brazil, and Sao Paulo established in south to more solid Portuguese territory. The Portuguese established a settlement along Rio de Janeiro Bay after expelling French settlers from the portion of the region. In the late 17th, the bayside settlements of Rio de Janeiro became the Portuguese colonial capital. In 16, the Portuguese colonization discovering coal inland of Rio de Janeiro and led to increase the Portuguese colonization.
Set off expedition to explore more and claim the interior.
From 1618, various attempts were pushed Portuguese boundaries southward to the Plata estuary where Spanish settlement was low. In the 1715, Spanish agreed to permit Brazilian interior expansion westward of the Tordesillas line. Colonial Brazil was economically and socially controlled by an elite class. This elite class purchased and captured millions of African slaves and transport them across the Atlantic to work on the large sugar plantations along the northeastern coast. The Portuguese are responsible for the forced immigration of North Africans to fulfill the labor of economic development. Estimates that 4 million Africans were shipped to Brazil to fill labor needs of economic development. Further south, in the modern Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro areas, the Europeans who are not the elite colonial had more opportunity to establish their right to new land and led to a greater degree of personal autonomy. 4.4 Other European colonies. French, Dutch, and British attempts to colonize Latin America come later and were largely resisted by the Spanish and Portuguese. There were limited incursions and lands controlled by dominant colonizers, primarily in and the periphery of the Caribbean basin. France took the western third of Hispaniola in 1697. In 1804, the successful slave revolt and independence movement, known as the Haitian Revolution, expelled the French and led to the creation of the new country of Haiti. Haitian Revolution is a series of conflicts between 1791 and 1804 between Haitian slaves, colonies, the armies of the British and French colonizers, and a number of other parties. Through the struggle, the Haitian people ultimately won independence from France and thereby became the first country to be founded by former slaves. In 1670, Britain took Jamaica and Trinidad in 1797 from Spain. The Dutch settled in 1581 and establishing what is today the country of Suriname. The British took the Western Territory in 1814, established a colony, today the independent country of Guyana. The French settled the eastern part in 16. The infamous penal colony of Devil's Island deterred further immigration into French Guiana until the prison closed in 1938. The British control in Belize lasted until well into the 19th. The infamous endured in the Western Caribbean, in Belize and parts of Honduras. English-speaking residents of the Bay Islands of Honduras are today a contemporary geographic remain of British influence in the region. In 1797, French took control of the remainder of Hispaniola, which is Santo Domingo, from Spain and maintained presence until 1809. Cuba and Puerto Rico remained Spanish colonized until the United States backed a Cuban uprising in 1898 and won the subsequent Spanish-American War. Few years later, Cuba became independent. Puerto Rico became Commonwealth territory of United States in 1898. Its people became U.S. citizens in 1970. Some smaller Caribbean islands that were ignored by Spanish had their first European settlement by French, Dutch, and British. Dramatic increase in land area devoted to sugar cultivation and the amount of African slave labor to the region contribute to gains in material wealth for many Europeans. 4.5 is independence. Initial weight attract Europeans come for exports of high-value minerals from Latin America, such gold, silver, and gemstones. The flows of the wealth flowed in the 17th and the devotion of resources to fight Napoleonic conquest of the Spain in the 1790. The colonial power of both Spain and Portugal weakened considerably. In the early 18th, the eroding strength of those European colonial empire enabled many Latin American countries to gain independence. The new countries largely emerged from administrative divisions within the Spain viceroyalties. The colonial boundaries between these divisions were poorly surveyed, if at all, forming a basis for subsequent disputes. Here the independence flow from Spain. In 1810 to 1820, the remainder of Spanish South America splintered into several countries independent of the Spanish crown. In 1821, Mexico separated from Spanish rule. It covered an area from the present-day southwestern United States, through the modern Costa Rica-Panama border. In 1823, the Central American region separated from Mexico as the United Province of Central America, which then further divided in 1838 into the individual Central American republics today. In 1822 until 1830, northwestern South America functioned apart from Spanish rule, Gran Colombia. In 1830, the independent countries of Colombia, Panama, Ecuador, and Venezuela emerged. In 1903, Panama finally gained independence after the U.S. interest to build a canal across the isthmus. So, post-independent, newly independent countries were poorly prepared and failed to capitalize their sovereignty. Next, 150 years after the independence were marked by political instability and punctured by short periods of economic growth. Spain left behind a geographic system based on mineral exploitation, transportation to a limited number of ports, and large estates engaged in raising livestock. So here is the flow independence from Portuguese in Brazil. So in 1807, the Portuguese royal family evacuated from Europe from Brazil when Napoleon threatened to take their country. Rio de Janeiro became temporary capital of Portuguese family. In 1816, after Napoleon lost, the Portuguese royal family returned to Portugal. The Prince Regent returned to Brazil at the time of blooming revolutions in the Spanish. In 1820, Brazil gained its independence and was better prepared for modernization than other post-colonization territories. In 1822, the Prince proclaimed the independence of Brazil from Portugal and announced himself King as Pedro I. In 1840 until 1889, under King Pedro II, Brazil economy bloomed and grew rapidly. In 1903, a military coup made Brazil a republic, but falling price of coffee and rubber led to a widespread of unrest and a period of dictatorship. In 19, Brazil encouraged immigration and received many people from Germany, Italy, and Japan, moved mainly to southern parts of the country where the environmental conditions were somewhat similar to those of their homelands. Organizations in Latin America is Mercosur and CARICOM. Mercado Comercio del Sur, which is Mercosur or the Southern Common Market, is a regional integration process initially established by Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay, and subsequently joined by Venezuela and Bolivia. Venezuela was suspended from the trading bloc December 1, 2016 because of its failure to incorporate standards on trade and human rights into national laws. Its members have a combined area of 13,771,194,000 km and a population of 264 million people if counting only the full member states. Mercosur functions of a custom union and free trade area, has ambitions to become a common market along the lines of the European Union. In 2020, the Mercosur had generated a nominal gross domestic product, which is GDP, of around 5.1 trillion US dollars, placing the bloc as the sixth economy of the world. The bloc placed high on the Human Development Index. Here is the Mercosur members and associates as of 2022. Next is CARICOM. The Caribbean Community, which is CARICOM, is a grouping of 20 countries, 15 member states, and 5 associate members. It is home to approximately 60 million citizens, 16% of whom are under the age of 30, and from the main ethnic group of indigenous peoples, Africans, Indians, Europeans, Chinese, Portuguese, and Japanese. The organization was established in 1973. The community is multilingual, with English as the major language, complemented by French and Dutch, and variants of this as well as African and Asian expressions. Its major activities involve coordinating economic policies and development planning, devising and instituting special projects for the less developed countries within its jurisdiction, operating as a regional single market for many of its members, which is called CARICOM Single Market, and handling regional trade disputes. CARICOM rests on 4 main pillars: economic integration, foreign policy, coordination, human and social development, and security. Objective of CARICOM is to improve standards of living and work, the full employment of labor and other factors of production, accelerated, coordinated, and sustained economic development and convergence, expansion of trade and economic relations with third states, enhanced levels of international competitiveness. Here is the members of CARICOM as of 2022. So for the 6.0, the Latin America sub-regions. The first one is Mexico. Here is the Mexico map. Is economic activities in Mexico, which is the manufacturing. Type of product is macular manufacturing plant. Industry, automotive. Location in Chihuahua, Mexico. Company, Ford. Additional information. Ford Chihuahua engine plant is the engine factory in Chihuahua, Mexico, owned by Ford Motor Company. The engines produced in Chihuahua are exported to various parts of the world, including the United States, Canada, South America, and the Asia Pacific region. Activities in Mexico is mining. Type of product is mining. Industry in oil and gas. Location in Mexico City, Mexico. Company name is Petróleos Mexicanos, which is Pemex. Additional information. Petróleos Mexicanos, which translate to Mexican Petroleum but is trademarked and better known as Pemex, is the Mexican state-owned petroleum company. Created in 1983 by nationalization or expropriation of all private, foreign, and domestic oil companies at that time. Economic activities in Mexico is service. Type of service is financial service, industry, finance, and insurance. Location in Mexico City, Mexico. Company BBVA Bancomer. Additional information about BBVA Bancomer. BBVA Mexico is a Mexican financial institution and the largest in the country, dominating about 20% of the market. Founded in 1933 as Banco de Comercio, which is Bancomer, and rebranded from 2000 to 2019 as BBVA Bancomer. For the 6.2 is Central America. Here is the map of Central America. Next is the list of countries in Central America. This including Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Panama. Economic activities in Central America is education. The type of service is education, industry, university. Location in San Pedro Montes de Oca, San Jose, and Costa Rica. Company name is University of Costa Rica. Additional information, it is the most important research university in the country and Central America. It is the oldest, largest, and most prestigious institution of higher learning in Costa Rica. Economic activities in Central America is service. Type of service is air transport service. Industry, airline. Location in Panama City, Panama. Company, Copa Airlines. Additional information, Copa Airlines is also the main operator and owner of Copa Airlines Colombia. They are currently doing domestic flights, which is Jamaica, Colombia, and Costa Rica, and international flight. And next economic activities in Central America is agriculture. The type of service is agriculture, industry, agriculture, manufacture. Location in Belmopan, Belize. Company Belagro Agriculture. Additional information, Belagro Agriculture is the largest fertilizer and agrochemical supplier in Belize, supporting the agriculture sector with high quality fertilizers and agriculture chemicals. The company represents the most renowned global agriculture manufacturers.
I am Vanessa. I'm continuous lab with Caribbean Basin and So this is a map of Caribbean Basin and environments. So this is the list of countries in Caribbean Basin and environment. So we can see that have Bahamas, Cuba, Dominica, Haiti, and others. So economic activity in Caribbean Basin environment. The first one is agriculture, industry, sugar. Location, St. Thomas, Barbados. Company, the West Indies Sugar and Trading Company. So it is the largest specialty sugar company in the Caribbean, formed in 2007 as a joint venture between the Barbados Agriculture Management Company and the private sector. Next one is service. Type of service is traveling service, industry, tourism. Location at Paradise Island Ferry Terminal, Nassau, Bahamas. Company is Azuma SK Bahamas. Paradise Island, located just off the shore of the city of Nassau, it is best known for the sporting resort activity with its extensive water parkway, pool, beach, restaurant, or in aquarium and casinos. And then we got agriculture, industry, plantation. Location, Hampton Estate, Trelawney at Jamaica. So company is Everglade Farm. So it's one of the oldest sugar estate in Jamaica. And then next slide is Northern Andes. So this is map Northern Andes. Now the list of countries in Northern Andes. The first one is Venezuela, Peru, Colombia, Ecuador, and Bolivia. Economic activity in Northern Andes. The first one is mining. So industry, oil and gas. Location, Bogota, Colombia. Company is Ecopetrol. Ecopetrol began its activity in 1921 as the tropical oil company before being taken over by the state. The next one is agriculture, industry, farming and fishing. Location at Lima, Peru. Company Andalusi. The company specializes in the cultivation and processing of sugarcane and fruits such as apple, papaya, pineapple, and others. After that, we got type of service is manufacturing, industry, architecture. Location at Barranquilla, Colombia. Company Tecnoglass. Tecnoglass has provided special glass for iconic buildings such as the Trump Tower in Miami, Tour Plaza in Panama, and El Dorado International Airport in Bogota. Next chapter is Brazil.
So this is a map of Brazil. Economy activity in Brazil. The first one is manufacturing, industrial aerospace at Sao Paulo, Brazil. Company Avaya SE. The company is a Brazilian aerospace conglomerate that produces commercial, military, executive, and agricultural aircraft and provide aeronautical service. The next one is manufacturing, industry exporting, location at Minas West, Brazil. Company Golden Venture. Golden Venture roots in the coffee business go back to 1873 with Coffee Baron Domingos at Pedra Negra Farm. And the next one is financial service, industry banking, location at Sao Paulo, Brazil. Company Itaú Unibanco. So it's the largest private sector bank in Brazil. It is ranked by Forbes as one of the largest companies in the world based on business, generate asset and market value. Next one is Southern South America. So this is the map of Southern South America. Next, list of countries in Southern South America. The first one is Chile, Paraguay, Uruguay, and Argentina. Economic activity in Southern South America. The first one is air transport service, industry airline, location at Santiago, Chile. The company is Latam Airline. So it is considered the largest airline in the Latin America with subsidiary in Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Paraguay, and Peru. Next one is manufacturing, industry, food processing, location at Buenos Aires, Argentina. Company Molino Rio de la Plata. The company is a large exporter of sunflower processed oil and is one of the Argentina main exporter of bottled oil. Lastly is mining, investing oil and natural gas, location at Buenos Aires, Argentina. Company name is YPFSA. In English, Fiscal Oil Field is a vertically integrated Argentine energy company engaged in oil and gas exploration and production and the transportation, refining and marketing of gas and petroleum products. The current issue in Brazil, the first one is development issue in Amazon. The Brazilian government remains committed to developing the Amazon River basin. Critics argue such policy encourage family with later farming experience to take up farming on informally surveyed lands. Forest construction in the Amazon is increasingly tied to deforestation and environmental degradation. The construction of BRT port in Rondônia and Acre in the western Amazon brought thousands of settlers to the area who kept employed in the forest without government encouragement. Dramatic increase in forest clearing and burning aroused international outrage. Many of the settlers failed to grow anything on their plots. The alternative introduction of the rapid development of soybean farming in Cabo Criado in the 1990s led to slowing of such settlement along the limb forest burning and destruction in the western Amazon. So this is the graph of deforestation of the Brazilian Amazon from 2002 to 2022, despite 11% drop in 2022. The next current issue in Brazil is government activity in Java agency. FUNAI is the Brazilian government body that established and carried out policy relating to indigenous people. FUNAI is responsible for mapping out and protecting lands traditionally inhabited and used by this community. It is charged with preventing invasion of indigenous territory by outsiders. All over Brazil, indigenous people are living in differing degrees of isolation. Illegal miners, ranchers, loggers, and other groups pose a risk to Indian life and well-being and destroy their natural resources. FUNAI's task is to ensure that their rights are respected as set out in the Brazilian Constitution and the India Statute. Its work in wide ranging and include opposition to Hakani, the controversial evangelical missionary field, which promote intervention by the authority in tribal community. Indian people usually live in the savanna and Atlantic forests of the south such as the Guarani and the Kaiga, and the dry interior of the northeast such as the Patasoha, Mahe and the Pinamo. During the first 100 years, almost all their land has been stolen from the dam and turned into grass. Dry network of cattle ranches, soya bean and sugarcane plantation. To the challenge to India, several hydroelectric dam complex are being built near uncounted Indian group that will also deprive thousands of other Indians of land, water and livelihood. The dam complex will provide cheap energy to mining companies who are poised to carry out large-scale mining of indigenous land. Lastly, current issue in Brazil is favelas, urban strife in Brazil city. Favela also spells favela in Brazil, a slang for shanty town located within or on the outskirts of the country's large city, especially Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo. A favela typically comes into being when squatters occupy vacant land at the edge of a city and construct shanty of salvaged or stolen materials. Some have identified the origin of the favela in the Brazilian community formed by impoverished former slaves in the late 19th century, but it was the great wave of migration from the countryside to the city from the 1940 to the 1970 that was primarily responsible for the proliferation of favela in Brazil. A wide variety of small business exist in favelas and serve the needs of the community, but the favelas are also frequently crime within and have long been dominated by gang involvement in illegal drug trafficking. Police present in sporadic and local militia have developed in response to the gang only to supplant them in some cases in exploiting the favelados, as the residents of the favelas are known. Over the years, the Brazilian government has taken a number of different approaches in dealing with favelas, from programs to eradicate the favelas to effort to provide or improve infrastructure and permanent housing.
So that's all from us. Thank you for watching.